Hi, welcome to Mom Talk. This is Dad's episode part 3. We're back here again to answer some more questions. We have our same guests here.
Jason, father of lots of children. 1 stepson, 3 daughters, about to be a foster parent.
Jonathan. I have six children, 3 boys and 3 girls.
Anthony, Yvette's husband, 2 little girls.
Josh, Rebecca's husband, and between the 2 of us, 7 children.
Awesome. So let's jump right into the question. Communicating with your spouse. I guess the real question is how to communicate with your spouse, I guess would be the question.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
I know, there's so many different ways. You got text messages, you got Facebook, but really the communicate with your spouse is actually very important, because I know a lot of the times it's you think you're on the same page and then you come to find out you have no idea what the other person is thinking or even trying to get done. So I think it's really good in every aspect of it, at home and with the kids and with everything, is to be able to communicate and to be on the exact same page of what you're trying to accomplish and get done.
I'll tell you, I've been married twice, and it doesn't matter what spouse it is. You hit it on the nail. You're not thinking on the same wavelength. I'm doing right. And she's like, no, you're not.
It's like, I'm up here,
and you can't assume anything. You really have to verbally tell each other what's going on. Anyway, that's kind of my take on it.
I had the hardest time communicating. I'll be straight up honest. My wife says, let's talk, and I'm like, oh, here we go. What
It's
now?
never a good start to a conversation.
And I don't know why I have a hard time communicating with her. I mean, we communicate. I'm not saying that we don't communicate, but sometimes I don't know. It's just let's talk, and it seems like right when I'm about to fall asleep, let's talk. I was almost asleep. Almost. No, it's really tough. They don't ever forget anything. They drag stuff up from 4 years ago, and I have a hard time because I'll be straight honest. I'm one of those that. How do I fix it? What's the problem? I'll make sure I don't ever do that again, or whatever the problem may be. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that easy for my wife, and I'm sure it probably goes the same for all 3 of your wives. It's not that easy, and I had the hardest time. Too many years in the military, too many years as a police officer. How do you fix it? That's the thing. Get it? Let's fix it. Done. I've forgotten about it, and she brings up something and asks me how. Why did you do that? I don't even remember doing that. I've done fixed it and moved on. I forgot it. I had the hardest time. But that being said, communication is extremely important. Otherwise, you never will make it, because if you can't work through your differences, because it's 2 separate people coming together, 2 totally different backgrounds, in my opinion, 2 totally different backgrounds, 2 totally different, everything different, and trying to make that work. If you are unable to communicate, if you're unable to come to an agreement or fix the problem, you're never going to make it work. It's just going to be nothing but one head fighting against the other head. I mean, it's 2 hard heads going, and it's like 2 rams just hitting each other. They're going down. Yeah. And there's nothing that you can do.
I agree. I mean, communication is extremely important, and like you said, it has become a cliche. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're two completely different species that come together to accomplish certain things because of the way that we're so different. At the same time, we're complementary, because at least in my wife and I relationship, a lot of the things that I'm not as good at, she is, and that's why we work so well together. Is because at least from the working standpoint, we complement one another, and we help get things done. But again, for me, it's focusing on, well, let's get it done. Let's get it done. I'm reminded of this sketch comedy skit that I heard where a guy got, instead of getting bit by a radioactive spider, he got bit by a radioactive woman. And the guy says, oh, and his buddy says, oh, I need to take you to the hospital? Let's go to the hospital. He says, no, I want you to listen and empathize. I want to tell you about how much it hurts, and you empathize with me. I mean, it's we're kind of telling jokes on the ladies at their expense, but it is different. I mean, the way that guys want to talk and the way that women want to talk is different. And again, it kind of goes into that complementary thing where, you know what? If we're going to get something done, you need somebody who is ready to. Okay, we've got a problem. Let's figure out the solution and let's execute that solution and get the problem fixed. But then at the same time, if we don't have that analytical, well, how do I really feel? Is this really the right solution? Are we really picking the right solution? Are we really gonna have have a good result in the end? Well, I mean, that's where the woman's role comes in. So again, it's part of that communication and that country song is, we need to dance. We need to, you push here and I pull there, and eventually, instead of looking like an argument, it looks more like a dance. And that I think is the focus of what communication is being able to figure out a way of turning what would be an argument or what would be a stumbling, or where we're stumbling over each other, turning it more into something where, you know what, apart we can't really get a whole lot done, but then together, wow, we can really build something worthwhile here because we're working, because we're dancing, because we're communicating, because we found the middle ground and found a way of getting something done.
I think as guys, as men, we're at a disadvantage because we're not brought up to communicate. I was raised in a household full of boys, and talk about feelings. We didn't talk about stuff. Dad's rule, okay, and mom was the buffer, but it was dad's rule, and a lot of families that was the way it was. So we didn't talk about feelings. We didn't talk about anything, to tell you the truth. We really didn't communicate. As a family, we didn't communicate. But as guys, when girls get together as they're growing up, and you get into the years where they start talking, they communicate all the time. They talk to each other about feelings. They're practicing everything they want to put their husband through, when they get married. Guys, we're talking about sports and
Star Wars
and
G.I. Joe,
right? We're even as we get older, we're talking about cars, or we're talking about this. We're not talking about, hey, how did your date go? Did y'all talk? How was you're not practicing for that level of communication. Well, I don't know. Maybe you, Josh.
There are some guys who probably do that.
Sure.
Right. Oh, well, I'm
on a totally different spectrum.
Right. Right, but I mean, I'm just kind of generalizing.
Right.
For the most part, we're not raised to be that kind of communicator. So, hey, we get married, or we date, we tell the girl the things we really want them to hear. When you're dating, you don't have you have fights, you have problems, you work through things. But it's not a commitment. Anybody can walk away at any time.
Man,
so
I'm done.
yeah, exactly. So when you finally find that person, you marry that woman that you love, and then she wants to talk to you, and for the most part, I don't think we're prepared. and kind of twisting this all into the dad talk. This is what we can teach our children, especially the boys, how to communicate. That it's okay to talk about your thoughts and your feelings, and whether it seems silly or whether it's and it's not macho. A guy wouldn't say that, Dad. Well, you're going to have to one of these days. And I think that's part of our job as dads, is to effectively teach our children how to communicate. So when they do go off and get married, they can already have that dance. You know, they already know the steps. You know, now they have a partner.
And a lot of it leads
Good
to
point.
an episode we filmed before is how they see mom and dad doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That, you know, they see you communicating. They're going to learn to be a good communicator by watching you.
Yeah.
As well as being a dad, maybe taking, like you're saying, taking that step back and telling, look, son, this is what you're going to have to do, instead of trying to make them macho. Because every dad wants his son to be the best in sports, the toughest, sometimes the meanest, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the testosterone driven.
An important part of being a guy.
Yeah.
It is an important part of
Yes,
being a
I
guy.
mean, but to be a well-rounded man and a well-rounded guy, I think you got to be good at everything, not just this.
Mhm.
And as part of that, as being a good father and being a good parent, is to teach them everything, not one side. So they're very equipped for, just like in the military, the police, we train for everything. For every, we play the what if game.
Mhm.
Right.
What if this happens? What if this happens? Oh, we'll do this. But the more you play that, the more chances of, if you encounter something like that, you're already ready for it.
Yeah.
Same thing with your child. I mean, you teach them that, hey, you're going to have to communicate. Talk about what's going on. Whenever he encounters it, he may not encounter it until he gets married.
Right.
Who knows? But when he does, he'll go, oh, you know, like you said, the light bulb will come on in their head. And
Well, and it you know, even taking a step back from that, if you teach them to communicate, they can communicate better as you and make you a better parent because you know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, most children are real tight-lipped because they think they're going to be in trouble, and a lot of times they are in trouble. But they still need to. You still need to tell me. You know,
Right.
and there are so many times I kind of look back and I wish I could have told my mom and dad, hey, this is what's going on. I was a good kid. You know, I didn't get in too much trouble, but there were times that you know it just I had to hold it down, you know, because I didn't know how to communicate. I was scared.
thank you for telling me you're grounded for eternity.
But you know, I think you guys bring up a really good point. Is that communicating with your kids is probably just as important with communicating with your spouse.
Yeah.
Especially whenever you're looking at it from the perspective of being able to raise those children into being able to communicate with their spouse in the future. I mean, it's been a long-standing rule in my house is, you know what, if I find out that you did something wrong, you know, that I found out that you broke something or whatever, then the punishment's going to be a whole lot worse than if you come to and tell me that you broke something or that you did something wrong or something along those lines. And from that perspective, you know, at least it's been really good in being able to raise my children to be more careful about things and stuff like that. It's something that's really important.
Yeah, I think and also going on that same thing is by communicating, yeah, it'll help them when they get older to continue to communicate and be ready for that. Because I do think even helping, you know, with your kids raising them is they do need to be able to communicate, be able to tell you stuff, not be too scared. Definitely be scared, but not too scared to come tell you when stuff's on. But also going back to communicating with your spouse, that it not necessarily means that the only time you communicate is when you have an argument. It's communicating before the argument happens, or, you know, making sure it's like, hey, you know, I need this done. You know, let's get this done, you know, beforehand to help prevent some arguments. And then just, you know, if there is a problem, not to immediately be, you know, button heads, but try to just talk it out and see if that's even possible and make things a little easier.
I mean, a good phrase that I use all the time is, hey, what did you have in mind for fill in the blank? You know, what you know, it's time to make dinner. What did you have in mind? Are you going to cook? Did you have something in mind you wanted to make, or is it my turn? You know, what would you like for me to make? You know, those types of things, as opposed to what's for dinner. You know,
Yeah.
good. That I think is an example of good communication.
Well, and even expounding further on yours, you know, we did. It was all a negative, you know, connotation at the beginning, and that's pretty bad. You need to tell your wife you love her. You need to tell her how much you appreciate her. because they don't hear that.
They need to hear.
Our wives do so much more than we ever will. I said it, honey. You know, and they need to know that they need to know that we know that they do that.
Yeah.
Tell them you love them. Tell them I appreciate everything you do for me. You know, and even going more, engage in a conversation about something that they want to talk about. You know, a lot of times people come home, and we talk over dinner, but it's, how was your day? Well, this person did this, and I had to do this, and and then I start in, well, they made me do this, and I had to do this, and it wasn't, you know, and it wasn't, you know, get away from that. Talk about, hey, I heard about this on the radio today. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah.
And you can actually have an engaged, intelligent conversation with your wife that just kind of melts away anything else that happened during the day, you know, and it keeps things, you know, interesting. But definitely have positive communication with your wife, not just when you're not just trying to work out the wrong that we always do as men,
Right.
but you know, keep it good, keep her knowing that you love her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in my example, I guess for my life is my wife's stay-at-home mom, so I'm at work all day. She literally all day talks to a 4-year-old and 2-year-old. So when I get home, she wants to hear about my day, and you know, she wants to just talk about anything, just you know, have an intelligent conversation with someone
An
above
adult
you.
conversation.
An adult conversation,
Yeah.
not about, you know, oh, My Little Ponies. That I don't know, but so you know, it's just, and for me to remember that, you know, they want to talk and to talk with them, and you know, bring up different things, and then know what she likes and bring up those to kind of engage in a good conversation. What is a good man, and how are you learning to be one? So I guess the real question is how you're making yourself a better man, and I guess in the family and the husband aspect and the father aspect and just all in general, how to be a better man compared to, I guess you could look at it as a bad man would be, I'm probably going to get in trouble there, one that doesn't, you know, want to play with their kids, doesn't want to help with the house, doesn't want to, you know, do anything with the family or anything like that. I'd say a good man is one that not only does participate, but wants to be with the family, wants to be there with the kids, teaching the kids stuff, wants to be with your wife, wants to, you know, just engage in all of that, and, you know, how to be learning to be a good one is just knowing that it's not all about you. There's more than just you in your house, not just in your house, but just all around friends and family and stuff. It's just knowing, not being, I guess, self-centered and selfish, but wanting to be out and helping people and stuff like that.
I think.
Yeah, you take this one.
Yeah, I was like, that's all I got right there.
Well, I mean, the question is a very deep question.
Yeah.
It goes into a lot more than just the practical of like we've said before already. Is that here's the problem, here's a possible solution, here's another possible solution. Let's pick one and do it.
Right.
It really goes deep into the ideas of, I mean, what is a good man?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is what bar do you set for yourself? What who has ever modeled what a good man is that we can follow? You know, that's to be perfectly honest with you, in the society that we live today, it's not something that you see ever modeled publicly.
Yeah.
You just do not see that in the media and movies and in anything else. I mean, in particular, I think children's programming is the most horrendous example of it, where, you know, the kids are the smart ones and dad's a complete idiot.
Yeah.
You know, you don't. So that's certainly not the example that I would measure myself against. You know.
Yeah.
There's nothing in our media, in all of our technology that, I mean, you have to dig really, 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 really deep to find somebody that you would want to model yourself after. So I mean, the very first part of the question, what is a good man? That could be a whole episode in and of itself. You know.
I'm thinking, on the Two Guys in the Morning show, I was still on the way to work.
Awesome.
There we go, I'm putting you out there. What they talked about something similar to this. I can't remember the subject that they were talking about, but the way they looked at it and the way I look at it, and I feel the same way that they did, is everybody has a different view on what a good person is or a good man is. Okay. Okay, you go and poll people out on the street, what is a good man? Every one of them are going to be different. My thing is, a good man is, what makes you feel like makes a good man? If you're happy with the performance that you're doing, and you feel like you're a good man because of it, then you're a good man. I mean, now keep in mind, I'm not talking about somebody who's going out and killing people and stuff like that. Every family, just for an example, has their own ideology of what a good man is. And pretty much, just as a male, you tend to live up to what your family feels a good man is. And I think it's heritage more than anything. Not heritage, but heritage has a role to play in it, as well as just family values and morals. And let's see what word I'm looking for here. Just the way you're raised with them. I mean, the way you perceived it as you were growing up. Well, that's my dad. That's how he was. Or that's my grandpa. That's how he was. That is a good man right there. That's who I strive to be, is like him. And I think that's where, here we go again, I'm going to get on. Society as a whole has skewed everything to where I don't feel there's one good direction toward everybody as a whole going toward this. It's everybody for their own, so to speak. Well, I think he's good, or he's good, or he's good. We don't have good leaders. So therefore, I don't think nobody really has a unified answer or a unified thought on, okay, this is the way we need to go. So it's almost like every man for himself. Well, he's good, he's good. In all, if you're happy with how you are, how you turned out, even if you're not happy with how you turned out, but you're striving to be better, I think you're a good man. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I'm a better man than you. I know I have my faults like anybody else does. I'm a better man than you because I did this. Because you define on what makes you successful. There's different definitions on successful. So what makes you a better man? Different definitions on what makes you a better man. It's just a loaded question in a way, but in truth, that's what it is. I mean, it's how do you perceive yourself? How do it's a tough one to answer. But.
Well, every person's going to look on a different man, and in their ideology, is that a good man or not? Okay, I consider my father a good man. Okay, he raised us, with my mom, of course, but as a family, raised us, took care of us, provided for us, taught us values, and right and wrong. Okay, this guy over here may not think my dad is a good man because he doesn't go to church. My dad didn't go to church, so this guy might say, well, that he didn't go to church, so he's not a good man. That's the problem with looking at what is a good man. Kind of exactly what you said, but just kind of giving an example of how people may, and it's a bad word, but judge, on something like that. As far as myself, I'll try to answer the question. I consider myself a good man. I have faults. We all do, but I try my best. I provide for my family. I'm kind. I follow the laws. I do myself to be a good citizen. I try to communicate with my wife. Getting better at that, but it's really tough because somebody else may come and say, well, you were late on a bill, so you're not a good man. And people can be. It's a judgmental thing, and and hopefully, you know, as a you know, I see myself as a good man. I don't judge other people, but I know I do for whatever reason. It's a fault, you know. It's and we all have them. Wow, that was difficult.
No.
Who's writing these
It's really-
questions?
It's a really tough question because you know along those same lines, you know, I understand where you're coming from, Josh. That everybody seems to have their own definition of what a good man is. You know, and I have a definition of what a good man is, and that's the picture that I have in my head, and that's what I strive to be more like. But then if somebody else's image of that is completely different than mine, well then that I think is in a way where the majority of our of the conflict that exists in our world today is based off of, you know. I do think that there is such a thing as an objective truth, as there is a right, and no matter what you think, or what you think, or what you think, or what I think, there is a right. The big question is what is it? What is it? Because the values that have been taught throughout the centuries, throughout the years, there's a huge variety of them. I mean, let's look at the world religions. I mean, there's what, 5 major world religions, but then even among those, even among those 5 major world religions, every one of them is splintered into hundreds of small groups. And literally, what the difference is here is one effort of describing the objective truth about what is good and what is bad. But then within that group, somebody doesn't like that, so they say, "No, you're wrong. I'm right," and so I'm going to define my own faith, my own religion, my own whatever, and they make their own splinter, and they define what it is. So it's a very difficult question to answer. What is a good man? Because there is a defined. I really believe that there is a defined truth of what a good man is, and it is possible to strive to be more like that. The question is, the question that really gets sticky is okay, what is that? What is that defined truth? What is that one example of what a good man is? And if I'm going to be honest with myself, then I have to be willing to give up this image that I have of what I'm striving for, if it's not the right. You know what I mean? So, how am I trying to be a good man? I don't know.
Not a real clear cut answer.
It's a very difficult thing.
All right, that's been another episode of Mom Talk Man takes over to answer women's question-ish. Hope everyone enjoyed it and have a good day.